20 feet ahead.
What is partisan de-alignment? De-alignment in political science is a trend or process whereby a large proportion of the electorate abandons its previous partisan or political party affiliation without developing a new one to replace it. An analogy for this would be your father and grandfather support Fulham Football Club, and because they do, then you do also. This is the same and is called partisan alignment when referring to political parties. If your family is a Labour Party, you vote Labour. De-alignment, therefore, is the shift away from this behaviour. When voting analysis began in 1945, it became clear that social class was the most important factor in determining voting behaviour. From the 1940s to the 1960s, the majority of the electorate was strongly linked to one of the two main political parties. Although there were always exceptions, party loyalty closely corresponded to social class.
What about over the past 10 years? This study aimed to be as unbiased as possible through encapsulating a wide range of opinions across age, political engagement and geographical ranges.
Research suggests that people only buy papers that support their political affiliations, creating an echo chamber. People like to be proved right, and seeing their arguments written down in print gives them legitimacy. Humans are social creatures that follow crowds. If they don't know themselves, they'll side with the most popularist argument. Age is a key factor in voting trend according to Ipsos Mori's 2017 election analysis. According to YouGov, amongst first-time voters, those aged 18 to 19, Labour was 47 percentage points ahead. Amongst those aged over 70, the Conservatives had a lead of 50 percentage points. In fact, for every 10 years older a voter is, their chance of voting Tory increases around 9%. The tipping point, that is the age which a voter is more likely to vote Conservative than Labour, is 47.
It does start off that way, so growing up I would say that it is family-based, just because that's what you're around. But I'd say that when you actually go out into the big wide world and actually start communicating with other people, you then get everyone else's opinions, and then it reflects just on the environment and the people you're with.
Yes, it's quite obvious as people seem to follow more idealistic mentalities, so they'll just kind of see a phenomena happen or something occur and they'll just follow it straight away like a rabid dog.
Originally, I did do it what my family did, and I feel like a lot of the younger generations just follow in what their family decide and things like that, and it's not until maybe they move out of home or they get into an office environment or a work environment that they start seeing something different.
I feel there's a variety of factors. I spoke to someone during my campaign in May who used to vote exactly how her parents voted, and since then her parents have died and she's not voted since. There are also single issue people, so if you look at National Health Action over in southwest Surrey, they've gained a lot of traction by having a GP run for them to save the NHS, and they've taken a lot of votes from all different parties across the spectrum.
I think it used to be a big thing years ago, possibly, but maybe I think it's different now. But at the same time, I vote Labour myself, and I have to due to my dad when I was younger. But now since I've grown up and I've got older, I've now realised that I'm voting Labour for not just the reasons of anything else. I do it for my own beliefs and what it is.
Yes. Yeah, because my dad is a very strong Labour voter, and he stopped speaking to me for about 3 months when he found out I did not vote Labour. So he pushed it, but then my other half, he supports Conservatives because that's what his family do. And it suits their lifestyle better than what Labour does. So yes, it's still around.
I think amongst the younger generation, that has happened. I think the older generation, it hasn't. I think there's a very large grey area, probably where I fit, in between.
I think a lot of the younger crowd do vote for what their parents vote for because they don't really know what they're voting for. They're not too keen or interested, so they just kind of got their parents going for, because they must be right, they're their parents. They wouldn't be wrong.
I think so, yes, particularly probably with the referendum. I mean, that's really split and divided the country. Possibly, I've done it through different reasons because my circumstances changed. I was married before and I'm divorced now, and a single mum of 4 children, so it's a very different setup because now I'm on tax credits and things, so the political viewpoints and what matters to me matters much more.
And especially in this day and age, it's a long time before you do get away from your parents for support. And so having parents, yeah, you will follow what they do in a household because it's mostly their opinion that you hear shouted at when they're listening to the news. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite obvious from Brexit referendum that there were some particular factors that influence how people voted that weren't the same as, well, definitely weren't the same as their parents. So their own, well, age was a big factor. So clearly there's different perspective for younger people to older people.
It's less than what it was, just from sort of our generation, mainly with, especially with Labour in the recent events. I think Labour's picked up a huge kind of student vote. The younger people are voting a lot more for them, which personally I've noticed is very different from a lot of older people. The older generation, more conservative, necessarily more traditional.
I think age is a massive indicator of voting. If I could quite easily have a very good judgment on who was going to vote for me and who wasn't during the campaign, if I was knocking on a door that I knew was a student house, I could get all 5 of them to the door and 3 or 4 of them would vote for me. But whereas when I went to the retirement homes, I got a lot of doors slammed in my face and told that I was a communist or whatever.
Newspapers were in the house and you tended to read what your parents read. But of course, the younger generations now, they get the information and news from social media, from other sources. I think that's the entire driver of that, hence the plummeting circulation of the newspapers.
I'd say it has, as opposed to, I'd say probably in the older times, there was less methods to try and get people to de-align from what their family thought, because I feel like most people would have established a political value as an adult, either through their family or through a newspaper. So say if you were an adult and you bought a newspaper, it's very unlikely your kids are going to go out of their way to buy a different political party's newspaper. So your household will pretty much be filled from the information that will basically align and conjoin more towards the political party that you wish to, you know, like support and stuff.
The majority consensus is yes, partisan de-alignment has occurred in the UK over the past 10 years. Many opinions included that it has in the younger generation due to social media allowing free and easy access to different political views. This has differed from the generations before them who only had access to the same partisan-aligned papers that their parents had. Those who answered no argued that as parents form an integral part of a child's ideology, subconsciously, a person's upbringing will always influence their political ideology, and thus their voting behaviour, because children idolise their parents. As people are living with their parents for longer, they have influence over their lives for longer, thus increasing the time they share the same ideology as their parents. Finally, some don't care enough about the political system to look into it and just vote what their parents told them.
This study concludes that yes, partisan de-alignment has occurred in the UK over the past 10 years. According to the public, age is now the most decisive factor that affects voting behaviour.